Hello and welcome to Tutorial Data Science. My name is Mr. Bright. In this project, we will use Python to analyze the main streaming services such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, Hulu, and we will plot a lot of different kinds of visualizations and draw some useful insights from it. This project simulates a real-world Python data analysis project that you will meet in the industry. By the end of this project, you will be much more confident in using Python to clean, analyze, and visualize data, which is an essential skill to have as you progress in your career. So let's get started. Now, before we start, this project assumes that you have a basic knowledge of Python. However, if you don't have the basis of Python or you are not confident in the various concepts of Python programming, then feel free to check out this crash course, which will take you right from the beginner level to an advanced level as to how to use Python to work with data. So whether you want to become a data analyst, a business analyst, a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, or AI engineer, this course will teach you practically everything that you need to have in Python. It will give you a solid foundation in Python. So feel free to check it out before you proceed to the next cells of this project. But if you have the basis of Python, then we are good to go. So let's get started. Now, before we get started and load our data and start performing some analysis on it, we need to first import the necessary libraries that we're going to use in this tutorial. All right, so I'm going to start importing. Now, since we're going to read our data into a data frame, I'm going to import pandas. Then I'll rename it as PD. I'm also going to import NumPy. Then I will rename it as NP. Then I'm going to import Seaborn, right? We're going to do some visualizations as well. So I will need what is called Seaborn. Then I'm going to rename it as SNS. Then I'm going to import Matplotlib as well. Since Seaborn is built on top of Matplotlib, I'm going to import Matplotlib. Then I'm going to rename it as PLT. Then I'm going to use some advanced visualization tools like Plotly, right? So I'm going to import Plotly, right? I'm going to import Plotly. And when you import in Plotly, you would like to plot whatever you're going to plot offline, right? Since I'm going to do this in my notebook, I'm going to plot it offline. I'm going to rename it as PYO, right? Let me get rid of this O here. All right, and once I do that, I just need to initialize it. So I do pyo dot init, right, underscore notebook, right, init underscore notebook mode. So I need to set it to notebook mode. So that's what I have to do. Then I need to also import Plotly Express, right? So I'm going to do import Plotly dot express. Then maybe I should just name it as px, okay? That's fine. And I'm going to use this Matplotlib inline, right? Just to make sure that whatever I'm going to plot it inside the Jupyter notebook, right? That's what I'm going to do. So now everything is fine. Let's run this one and see. Oh, good. So now I can proceed to read my data set, right? So for that, I'm going to do pd.read underscore CSV, right? I'm going to use CSV here, and inside here I need to indicate the file. Now I'm going to load this data set that I'm going to use or the resource session so that you can easily download it and then you can practice alone. Okay, so don't worry about where I'm getting the data from. I'm going to load it at the resource session so that you also get access to it. All right, so let me go to this place, and when I come here, I'm going to load my data set by clicking on this. Then it will take me to my system, and okay, so let me go all the way. Let's go here, and then I have my movie streaming here. I just click on that, and that's it. That's the only thing I have to do. So you can see down here that it's loading, right? So once it's done, I can get a link or the path to it, and then I can just load it. Okay, so now I can just hover over it, and then you see the three dots over here. Just click on it, copy path, come here, put it over there. All right, that's all I have to do. Then I'm going to store it in a variable, right? Let me actually zoom in this thing. I'm going to store it in a variable called df, right? So that I'll be able to use only df to access it. So let me just print the head of whatever I'm going to load over here for you to see. Good. So this is the data set that we have. right? This is the data set that we have. Now, if you see it over here, we have some unnamed, column over here. Is just nothing, just a form of an index. One is an Excel format, right? And then we have the ID over here. The ID is just a unique ID that is given to each of the rows over here. We actually don't need all these things. We're going to drop them because if you load it into a pandas data frame, it's also going to give it an ID over here. Okay, so as you can see, it's also going to give it an ID over here. Then we have the title of the movie, right? The title of the movie is here, right? Some are called Inception, some are called The Matrix, and all the other the title of the movie. Then the year the movie was released, and then the age, right? That is whether 18 plus is supposed to watch the movie, 12 plus is supposed to watch the movie, 7 plus, 13 plus supposed to watch the movie, right? If it's an adult movie, you see that it's going to be 18 plus. If it's includes children, it's a child movie, so it's 7 plus and so on. Okay, and then we have the IMDb. So IMDb is a database, but they give reviews. The database for movies, but they give reviews to movies. Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, right, they give ratings to the movie. And the same thing with Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes also give ratings to movies on a scale of 0 to 100. Okay, so that's why you see some 80%, 87%, 84%, 96%, and 7%, and so on. Remember that we are just watching seeing the head of it, which is just the first 5 rows, right? I will show you how many data points are there in a while. Let's proceed over here. Then we have the various streaming service like Netflix, Hulu, Prime, that is Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, and so on. Okay, and then we have the type of the movie. So if the movie is actually present in that particular platform, for instance, if the movie is present on Netflix, you see that we have 1 there. If it's not present, it's going to be 0. The same way with the other platforms. Okay, then we have the directors, the various directors that we have. Okay, these are the directors that direct the various movies, right? Christopher Nolan, Lana. Some movies are directed by couple of directors over here. So you can see this one is directed by this one person, this one is directed by about 3 different directors. Okay, and then you see the genre over here, right? Whether it's an action, adventure, sci-fi. Some fall into different categories, some fall into 2 categories, some fall into 1 category or 1 genre. Okay, and then the country where the movie is being released, right? Whether in the UK or the United States or whatever country it is, right? Germany and so on. And then the language the movie was being acted is also here. And then the runtime, that is how many minutes this movie can run. So some can run all the way to 140 minutes, some can run 90 minutes, some can run 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the data that we have, and this is what we're going to use to use Python to perform analysis on. Okay, so let's actually check the data type, how many data points that we have. So for that, I'm going to use df.shape. Okay, that's the only thing that I'm going to do over here. Now you see that we have around 16,744 data points over there, and then we have 17 columns. Okay, so we have 17 columns. So this kind of a huge data set, right? It's kind of a huge data set over here. Let's see some of the things that we can actually do over here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check the various columns that we have, right? So for that, I'm going to do calls, right? I'm going to do calls equals, then I'm going to do df.columns. So if you want, I can actually, let me do it this way. df.columns, it's actually going to give me all the columns, right? Then I can do maybe to list. All right, so for this I can even store it in another variable called calls, right? And then when I come here, I can just print whatever is there for you to see all the columns that we have. Okay, now you see these are all the columns that we have in our data set, right? It starts from unnamed 0, ID, title, year, right? That's what you see. Unnamed 0, ID, title, year, age, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Netflix, Hulu, Prime. So these are the column names that we have in our data set, right? So if you want to fetch the column names and know the columns that you're going to deal with, this is how you can do it, right? Now, as I said, we don't actually need this unnamed 0 and then the ID, right? They are not necessary because pandas will also give us index over here, so we don't really need these first two columns. They're all just showing us an ID. So we're going to drop them. So I'm going to do df.drop. Right, I'm going to use the drop function to do that, and I'm going to drop these. Let me actually copy it from here and bring it, or maybe do it this way. Right. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to drop. All right, let me bring it here, and then I'm going to indicate that what I'm going to drop is actually in the column by saying that access equals 1. All right, and then I can say in place equals true, so that whatever changes that I'm doing is going to reflect in the original data. Okay, now let me print out the columns again. When I drop this one, let me print out the columns again for you to see down here. All right, so let me run it. All right, now you see that it's starting from title, year, age, and so on and so forth. It previously started from unnamed ID, unnamed 0, and then ID, right? But I've taken that one out. I've dropped them. All right, so now let's check if there are some data points that were not available to be captured when this dataset was being compiled. Okay, so for that you need to check if there are any missing values in there, and Python actually recognize missing values as NaN, right? That is not a number, right? Let me actually write it here so that you get to see. Right, so Python, let me do it this way. Python recognize missing values, right, as NaN. All right, let me get rid of this. Okay, so that's what Python does. It recognizes any data point which is not available as NaN. So if it goes through the data set that we've read, and for instance, if it goes through, let's say this data point was not available, right? So if this data point was not available, then Python is going to indicate it as NaN. Okay, it's going to put NaN over here, but if it's there, then it's not going to do anything. All right, so that's what is going to happen over here. So let's see how we can fish them out. So I'm going to do df.isNa. All right, so that's if there is any NA over there, then show me. Right, so I'm going to run this one here, and this is going to output some true, false. So if there's no NaN there, then it's going to show false. If there's NaN there, that is going to output true. So you can see that there's a lot of false in there because there was a data point here, and here there was no data point there, right? There was NaN there, so you can see that there's true there. So that's what it's going to do. If you see in between here, right? If you see in between here, it's actually breaks here, right? There's kind of a break over here. So even if there are some data points in here, we are not able to see it because it breaks from 4. It goes all the way to 16,739. Okay, so in order to count how many trues are there, how many false are there, and also in which column we have some missing data points in there, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add .sum over there. Okay, I'm going to add .sum so that it will count how many missing values are there in each column. Now you see how useful it is, right? So now you can see that let me bring this one to this side. You can see that in the titles column, right, there are no missing values in there, right? However, in the age column, you can see that there are some missing values in the IMDb. Now, if you see the Rotten Tomatoes as high as 11,586 missing values are there, that's too huge. Okay, that's too huge. If you go all the way to directors, you can see that there are missing values in there all the way down to runtime. All right, so now we are able to identify some missing values in there. In this tutorial, we're not going to drop these missing values, or we're not going to treat them. We're just going to leave them as it is because we would like to see them inside our data points as we do the analysis. However, there are several ways to deal with missing values, right? And if you want to see in depth of how to deal with missing values, how to do data cleaning, data analysis, feature engineering, and so on and so forth, this tutorial will actually give you that particular insight over there, right? This actually goes into details and tell you what to do at what point in time, right? Whatever you encounter, whether it's missing values, whether it's outliers, whether you need to do some extensive feature engineering, some feature engineering techniques that you need to perform before proceeding to perform some analysis on your data. This particular tutorial that I've given you a link over here is going to take you right from the beginner level to advanced in treating missing values and doing extensive data engineering techniques. Okay, so feel free to check it out. Okay, feel free to check it out. In this tutorial, we're not going to drop it. We're just going to leave it because we want to see it in our data points. Now, if we go back here, and then we see our data set again. If you see the age column, you see that it's 13 plus, 18 plus. We want to make sure that this age column is in the right data type format. Okay, let me actually check the data type so that you get to see what is inside there. So if I do df.dtypes over here, then I run it. Now you see over here, right? These are the data types of the various columns. Some are objects, some are int, some are float, and so on and so forth. Now on at the age column right here, we want it to be an integer, not an object, right? We want it to be an integer, and it's an object because we have a plus attached to the 13, okay, or to the numbers, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to drop the plus, okay? I'm going to drop the plus sign over here, and for that, let's see how we can do it, right? So if I say df, and then df, if I pick the age, right? If I pick the age over here and then run it for you to see, you see that we have 13 plus, 18 plus, 13 plus, 7 plus. So I'm going to drop the plus over there, right? So that we have just 13 but not 13 plus. Okay. Now I'm going to create some I'm going to use dictionary to map this, right? So let me do it this way. So for you, I'm sure if you have the basis of Python, you know how to create dictionary, right? However, if you don't have the basis, as I said, you can check the tutorial link that I gave earlier on, right? And then you can easily come back to this particular project. All right, so what I'm going to do is that if I see any 18, right? So dictionary is nothing but key value pair, right? So this is the key and then this is the value, okay? So if I see any 18 plus, I would just want to rename it as 18, right? That's a way to get rid of the plus, right? There are several ways to do that, right? And as we progress, I'll show you different ways of, stripping some form of, attachments from your data points. I'll show you different kind of techniques, right? In different tutorial, I'll show you different techniques as well. But this is also one of the ways that you can do it, all right? So if I see any 18 plus, I'm going to rename it as 18, and then if I see say any 7 plus, right, I'm going to make it just 7. Okay, I'm going to make it just 7, and if I see something like maybe 13, I've done it 18. So if I see 13 plus, I'm going to just call it 13, right? And then if I see something like there's something like or in our data set, so for that I'm just going to rename it as 0, right? If I see something like say 16 plus, I'm just going to name it as 16. Okay, so that's the only thing that I need to do. Now I'm going to maybe name this one or store it in a variable. Maybe let me name it as age map. Okay, that's what I have to do. Then after I do that, I'm going to create a column, right? A new column in our data set, right? And then put it over there. So maybe this one I can call it as age. Maybe a copy. This is going to be a copy of the original. I'm not going to drop the original age, right? So this is just going to be a copy of it. And then in my age, I'm going to now, if I pick the age, right, I'm going to map it with the new with this one. That is the age map that I created, right? I'm going to map it with that so that any data points in that column, right, any data points in this age column, right, that is the original age column, is going to be mapped with the new one that I've created, right? So all the values there are going to change, right? So let me do that, and then I'll show you the new age copy that we have, right? Let me run this and see if everything works fine. Good. Now you see that we have 13.0 to 18.0 instead of having it as 13 plus, right? So this in this case we've turned it to a float. So you can see here is float 64. Unlike first it was object, right? The data type was object, but now you can see that we have the data type to be float, and this is fine. We can now work on this one better as a numeric value, right? As compared to this one, which was kind of a string, right? Now we can do the same thing to the $sign, which is attached to the Rotten Tomato review. So if you go all the way up, right, if you see the Rotten Tomato, we have 87%. Now this percent here is disturbing this 87 to be a numeric value, right? It's making it an object, right? If you see the data type that we checked, let's go all the way here, right? Rotten Tomatoes, you see that is object. Okay, so we want to change that one to a float, right? So let's see how we can also do that one as well. So this one I'm going to do is straightforward, right? Now that we have a basic understanding, I'm going to do it straightforward. Now I'm going to create a new column called new underscore Rotten Tomato, right? I'm going to create a new column in my data set, and I'm going to call it Rotten Tomato, right? Rotten Tomatoes, that's fine for me. Then this one is going to be, if I go into my df and then I pick the Rotten Tomato column, right? What I want to do is that I want to convert everything which is there as a string. Then I'm going to replace, right? I'm going to replace this percent sign, right? I'm going to replace it with nothing. Okay, I'm going to replace it with nothing, so that it will just strip off that percent sign for me. And after that, what I'm going to do is that let me actually run this one and then show you what we have over there. Let me first do it this way. Okay, great. Now let me check the type of this one. Let me check the yeah, the type is actually here. You see that it's still object, right? But we want it to be float. We've been able to strip off the percent sign from it, right? But still you can see that it's still an object. So what I'm going to do over here, let me get rid of this. What I'm going to do is that for any item, right, for any item in the new Rotten Tomato column that we have, right, that is this. What I'm going to do is that if the item is equivalent to a string, right, that is if the item is a string, then what I want to do is that I want to convert it to a type. So I'm going to use the asType function here, and then I want to convert it to an integer, right? I can convert it to a float, either a float or an integer. Either of them works fine, right? So okay, so that's what I want to do. Now I've done everything fine. I've converted it to, I mean, from a string to an integer, right? So you could have also, I mean, do it straightforward. You could have just done df new Rotten Tomatoes dot asType int. That's also going to be fine. I mean, you can just get rid of this, get rid of that, right? And then you see that this one is equal to this dot asType. I mean, there are several ways to do this, right? asType int. That's all. You could have also done it this way, and that is also going to work fine for you. Let me just go back to what we did. Yeah, this is also another way to do it. So you can either use it this way or the other way that I showed you. All right, now after I've been able to do this, we are going to proceed to do some data visualization here, extensive one. All right, we're going to use Portly, Seaborn, and everything that we can think of it to make, I mean, a very good visualization over here. Right? So the first one that we're going to do is that we're going to check what is the number of movies for each age group, right? So we have different age groups that we have, right? So let me actually show you in the age column, right? In the age column, let me use this value underscore counts, right? And if I run this one, it's going to show you the various age groups that we have. Okay, we have the 18 plus, 7 plus, 13 plus, and then we have 16 plus, right? So I mean, over here, remember that I was just doing this. I was doing this because I know the age groups that are there. But if you did not know, you could have just used this code over here, right? You could have run that so that you know the various age groups and how to map them. Okay, and then how to map them this way. All right, now we know these are the age groups over there, right? So for this, as I said, we're going to check what is the number of movies for each age group. Now we can see that for 18 plus, we have around 30,474 movies for which are 18 plus, right? And then we have 1,462 movies which are 7 plus, around 1,225 which are 13 plus, and then movies that every age group can watch, we have 843. Then we have 16 plus, we have 320 movies over there. Okay, we can visualize this if you want. We can visualize this as well. All right, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check the top 10 languages in this streaming services, right? That's what I'm going to check, the top 10 languages in this streaming service. Now if you go all the way back here and you see we have a column called languages, right, or language. So this one comprises of different languages. Some movies are acted in English, some are acted in Japanese, French, some are acted in Italian, and so on and so forth, right? So I just want to see which language is having the most movies being acted in. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do language over here. Okay, then I'm going to do, in my DF, I'm going to select language, right? So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to use the value underscore count, right? Value underscore count. Then what this one is going to give me is this value underscore count is just similar to what we did. It's going to count all the different types of languages and how many of them are there. Let me actually print it up here so that you get to see what is inside that. Great. Now you see that everything works fine. So English is having 10,955, right? As compared to even the second one that comes closer is around 276. Okay. So most movies are acted in English. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me change this one to caps as well. All right, now if I do this, I just want to select the first 10 of them, right? So that's why I'm going to use the head here and indicate that I want to select the first 10. Now I'm going to use matplotlib. Remember that we've imported matplotlib.pyplot as plt, right? If you go all the way up here, right here, we have matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So that's what I'm going to use to plot this. Okay, let's go all the way down here. So I'm going to do plt dot figure, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set the figure size, that is the length and then the width of this, right? So figure size, and I'm going to set this one to let's say 10,8. That is, the length should be 10, the width should be 8. Okay, then I can set a title over here, plt dot title. Okay, then inside that I can give it a title as maybe top 10 languages in the streaming service. So this is fine for us. Then I'm using, so far I've used matplotlib to do this. I'm going to use Seaborn to actually do the plotting, and I'm going to plot a bar plot over here, right? I'm going to plot a bar plot over here. So inside there, on the x-axis, the data that I want it to be there is I want it to be this language that I've loaded over here. This one dot the index. Right. Let me show you what this one means so that you get to know what data I'm putting over there. Right. Let me do this so that you get to see. First, I have to run this one so that it will recognize this language. So let me put that one above here. Then let me run this one. So you see that we have dot index. This is what we have, right? This is what we have. That's what I wanted to go on the x-axis. I want the names of the language to go on the x-axis. Okay. Then on the y, right, on the y-axis, what I want it to be there is the values, right? So I'm going to do not this. I'm going to do language dot values. Okay. Let me also show you what is inside this language dot value. So instead of index, I'm going to let me get rid of this. Instead of index, I'm going to put the values there. So these are the values for each of the languages, right? Remember, English is having 10,950. 55, right? So the values I wanted to go on the y-axis. Okay, so once I do that, let me actually run this one and see how it looks. Good. Now you see, this is what we have. You can see that English is way far as compared to all the other languages, right? Hindi is the second language that comes, right? And then some movies are acted with a mix of languages. Let me expand this a bit. That is, let me stretch the length of it to say 12 or 15. Okay. All right, so that's how we can actually see the languages better. Now you see that some are acted only in English. So movies that are acted only in English are the ones that top this list. And then you can see movies that are acted in Hindi, which is a language in India, right? And then you can see some movies are acted in both English and Spanish. Some are acted in Spanish. And the least one here is Tamil. It's also an Indian language, right? So these are the top 10 languages of the various movies that are being acted. All right. Now the next thing that we're going to do is that I'm going to plot a pie chart over here, and I'm going to use Plotly to do this. Okay. So I'm going to do from ipython.display, right? I'm going to import this HTML. Then I'm going to import Plotly. I've done Plotly I've done this one, so I'm not going to do it again. I was just going to do Plotly .express, right? This is what I wanted to do. As px, right? I've already done this one up here. Let's go all the way up here, right? I've done it here, so there's no need bringing it down here again. There's no need importing it, but I can just leave it, right? I can just leave it. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do figure, right, is equal to, or fig equals. Then I'll use this Plotly express, that is px.py, and inside that I'm going to indicate my data over there, right? I'm going to indicate my data over there. Then I'm going to indicate the values that I want to use for this. So for the values, what I want to use is let me do it this way. I want to use the languages.values, right? Let me even copy it from above here. This one that I did, the same thing that I did over here is what I want to use here. So let me put it over there. And then I also need what is called names, right? So that's the same data point that we put on the x-axis, and that is this, right? I'm going to put it over here. All right, so that's what I want. And then I can give a title to it, right? And for the title, it's just the same title that we give. It's just the same thing that I'm using. I'm plotting, but in this case, instead of bar plot, I'm going to use pie chart. Okay. This is what I have to do. Let me see what else. Finally, I'm going to use the HTML that I imported, right? And then inside that, I'm going to set my figure.html. 2_HTML. So let me run it, and then we see the output that we have over here. Invalid syntax. Let's see what is there. Okay, we missed a comma here. Let me run it again. All right, so this is what we have. We see that we have a very beautiful pie chart over here, right? We can actually set the size of this pie chart. We can maybe I can do height over here, and then the height I can give it, say any value here. Let me see how it's gonna look. We're supposed to put a comma here. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's fine. You see that now it's bigger, it's bolder, and we can actually see now. You can see how wide English is, right? English is having most of the movies being acted in. Okay, and you can also see the percentage of each of the other languages as well, right? So if you hover your cursor on it, it's going to show you the language and also the value that you have. Okay, the language and then the values that you have in each of them. All right. So this is it. The next one that we're going to do is the number of movies in the specific age group in all the services, right? So we have different age groups that we were considering. Remember earlier on we checked the various age groups that we have, right? And we're having these age groups: 18 plus, 7 plus, 13 plus, and then 16 plus. Okay, so we want to see the number of movies in each of these age groups. Okay, so for that, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to bring this same code that we used earlier on. I'm just going to copy that, then I'll put it over here. Right now, this time what I'm going to do, let me push it, undo. Okay, this is what I want to do. Now, instead of over here, the values here, what I'm going to do is this. Right, I'm going to use my df, and then inside the df, I'm going to select the age, right? Then I'm going to use the value count, right? So that I'll get the various age groups, right? The value counts. Now, if I do this value count, remember that earlier on. Let me even print it again so that we get to see what we are doing step by step. All right. So if I go here, put it over here, run it, let's see. That's what we have. Now for this one, for the values which is going to the x, right? I can even put here x instead of values. I can put here x. Okay. Then I can change the names to say y. All right, that's fine. So the what is going to the x-axis, what I want it to be there is this age group, right? I want it to be the age group, and that's actually the index over here. So if I do dot index, right, and then run it again, you see that we have the 18 plus, 7 plus, 13 plus, and that's what I want. So I'm going to do dot index over here, right? If I just do this one, if I just do it this way, right, I'm going to have, it will be able to fetch these ones for me, and that's what I want it to be on the y. So let me come here, get rid of this language thing that we did earlier on. Then I'll put this one over here. Okay, so this is the only thing that I want. And then let me change the title. So this title is actually going to be let's see how we're going to do it. Maybe a number of movies in specific service. Let me even copy this one, and then copy this one, come here, and then I'll put it over there. Okay, this is what we can do. Let me run it, and then we'll see. Great. So now you can see that we have 18 plus having the most of them. If you hover around, you can see that 18 plus is having around 3,474, followed by movies that are acted, which are 7 plus, and then 13 plus, right, and so on and so forth, right? We can even indicate the values on top of them, right? We can even indicate the values on top of them. So for that, what I'm going to do is that after the title, I'm going to do test, right? I'm going to do test equals and that is the test over there is just going to be the values that are on the y-axis, right? So I'm just going to put that one over here, and after this one, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do fake dot update, right? Update traces, update underscore traces, and inside there I'm going to specify that's the test template that I want, right? I want it to be if you pick any of the values, right, this is a placeholder, and then if you pick any of the values, I want it to be in two decimal places, right? So if they say, if it's having a decimal place, in this case it is not having, but we're going to use this code as we progress. So let me put it there in that case, right? I just want it to be in two significant figures rather, right? I just want it to be like that. All right, then I can show the test position. Okay, I can show the test position as well. Let me actually leave this one and then run it so that you see what we have so far. Okay, now you see that now the values are being indicated on top of them, right? So you can see them clearly even if you have not hovered around them. Now, if it is the value is you see this one, we have 3,470 4, so it's going to run it up right to 3.5k. And the same way, this one we have 1.462, so it's going to run it up to 1.5k. This one is 1.255, it's going to run it up, right? And then this one 843, so it's going to run it down, right? If it is 4, if it's 5, right, if the last digit is greater than 5, then it's going to run it up. If it's less than 5, it's going to run it down. So this one is 4, this one is 843, right? So it's going to run it down. This one is 8320, so it's actually 320. All right, so this, we can make it come on top of that, right? So that's the next thing that I was doing here, right? Showing the test position. Then I can say that it should be outside, right? So if I add this one, instead of the text being inside the bar, it's gonna be on top of it. Now you see how it looks right now, right? You see how it looks right now. Now, I mean, you can just manipulate it as you want. You can just manipulate it as you want. The next one that we're going to, so I mean, we've seen the age group which is having the most movies being acted for. Even the movies that are acted for all age group is around 840. However, most movies are adult movies which are 18 plus. They are rated as 18 plus, right? But I mean, in the reality, even children watch them, right? Those who are even below 18 plus still watch them. But I mean, in the database that we have, most movies are rated 18 plus and meant for adults. Okay. So let's proceed to the next one, which is the number of movies in specific age group. So let's proceed to the number of movies in specific age group in Netflix, right? This one we did it for all of them, right? We did it for all of them. I mean, put them together. That is Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, Hulu, right? So in this case, we just wanted to do it for each of these individual services, right? So we're starting from Netflix. All right, so let me just copy the same code and then bring it down here. Let me put it over here. Now, what I'm going to do is that before this fake over here, I'm going to create a copy of the dataset that we have, and that is going to be, say, DF. I'm going to select only Netflix. Okay, I'm just going to select only Netflix over here, and that is where the movie is available, right? If the movie is available, right, it's just going to be equal to 1. So let me do it this way. Okay, if the movie is available, it's just going to be 1, right? Then I'm going to store it in a new variable, and I'm going to name it as, say, Netflix, maybe Netflix DF, that's fine. Okay, Netflix DF is fine. Now, when I come down here, instead of the DF, I'm going to use the new data points that we've created. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use right now. So whatever I see DF, I'm just going to change it, so that I'm just going to pick only the data points that we have with respect to Netflix. Okay, so that's the only thing that I have to change over here. And then the title is going to be number of movies in a specific age group in Netflix. Instead of all, it's going to be in Netflix. All right, so let's run this one. Great. Now you see that this one is with respect to Netflix, right? So even in Netflix, you can see that here it's with respect to Netflix. Even in Netflix, 18 plus movies are the ones that are very high, right? As high as 750, right? In all of them, it's around 3,000 or 3.5k, right? And in Netflix alone, we have 750 of them, followed by 13 plus. Let's go here. You see that in all of them is followed by 7 plus, but in Netflix, most of the movies are 18 plus, followed by 13 plus, and then 7 plus. Okay, now let's go on and then do the same thing for those in Amazon Prime. Okay, so I'm going to copy this same code that we use for Netflix, and then come here and do the same thing for Amazon Prime. Okay, so here, instead of Netflix DF, I'm going to name it as maybe Prime, right? Maybe Prime. And then where this one, instead of Netflix, I'm going to select Prime Video, because that's what we have in our data set. And then when I come here down here, I'm going to copy this prime and then put it here, then put it here, put it here, and then put it here as well. Okay, now we're good to go. Let's run it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we forgot to change the title, so in Amazon Prime. Okay, that's it. Now let me run it again. Good. So now you see that in Amazon Prime we have around 2.6k of the movies being 18 plus, as compared to Netflix, which is around 750. Right, follow in Amazon Prime is followed by 920. So this Amazon Prime is the one influencing the overall categories that we have over here, because that's a one alone is 2.6k. Okay, and the next one is 920, which is 7 plus. You see how it's correlating with the overall one. So since this one is having the majority of the videos over there, it's actually influencing the overall category check that we did over here. Okay, since now that we know about Netflix, we know about Amazon Prime, let's go ahead and do it the same thing for Disney, right? For Disney Plus. So I'm going to copy this one, and then I'm going to come down here and put it over there, right? So instead of this, I'm going to change it to Disney, and then I'm going to copy this Disney, come here, put Disney here, come here, then you put Disney, come down here, you put Disney, and Disney here as well. Okay, then the title, we change the title to Disney Plus. Okay, that's it. Let's run it. Okay, great. Oops, we made a mistake over here, right? You see, that's why we're getting the same data as Amazon Prime. However, we're supposed to change the data that we are selecting, right? Here we're supposed to select Disney, right? Disney Plus. So Disney Plus is what is supposed to be here. Now let me run it again. Earlier on we used the wrong data set data points to do it. Okay, great. Now this is for Disney. See that for in Disney, the movies that are for all is the one that actually ranks higher over there. That's having a higher number of movies that have been acted for all categories of age groups. Okay, around 280, then followed by 7 plus. Okay, so that's for Disney, followed by 40 for 13 plus. So as I said, it's Amazon Prime which is actually skewing this one towards itself, right? Skewing the overall category towards itself, because it's the one having most of the movies being acted in 18 plus. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for Hulu as well. All right, so let me go up here, copy it, and then we come to the Hulu cell. We're going to change this one as soon as possible so that we're not gonna mess it up. All right, so I'm going to change it to Hulu, and then instead of Disney DF, I'm going to change it to Hulu DF. All right, then I'm going to copy it, come down here, then I'm going to put Hulu here. All right, I'm going to put Hulu here, and that's it. Well, I need to change the title to Hulu. Let me run it. Great. So for Hulu we have 290 for 18 plus, right? So and then 120 for 13 plus, and then 110 for 7 plus. So this one is in correspondence with what we have for the overall rating, right? 18 plus, 7 plus, 13 plus, all, and then 16 plus. This is just corresponding to that, right? The Hulu one is corresponding to that. All right, so now we actually know the age groups and how many movies are being acted with respect to the age groups as well. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to check the scores, right? That is for Rotten Tomato score and also for IMDb score, right? So these are the two main rating services or review services that give reviews or ratings to the various movies that are put on these different platforms, right? So we're going to start with Rotten Tomato. Okay, so we're going to do it for each of the services, right? We're going to do it for each of the services over there. The Rotten Tomato review. Remember that I told you that it does it on a scale of 0 to 100, right? So the highest is going to be 60 plus, or 60% and above. It's going to have the highest reviews or the highest ratings, right? And then below that, it's going to be the lower ratings, right? If you go to the Rotten Tomatoes website, you're going to see that if the movie is having at least 60% review, it's going to display a fresh tomato status alongside the movie, right? But if it's having lower than that, then it's going to display a Rotten Tomato aside that. Okay, so in this case, we just want to see which of the movies are having these at least 60% ratings, right? So let's actually see how we're going to figure this one out with respect to the data set that we have. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to bring this same code that we've been using, right? Let me just copy it and then come here and make the necessary changes that we have. Okay, so let me put it over here. Now what I'm going to do is this. Instead of this, I'm going to pick the original data set, which is DF, right? I'm going to pick the original data set, which is DF, and then instead of age, I'm going to pick, let me actually do it this way so that I'll get access to select it. Right, I'm going to pick the Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to pick the original Rotten Tomatoes, not the new one that we have removed the percentage, right? Not the new one that we have removed the percentage, but the original one. Okay, now what I'm going to do next here is this. Let me get rid of this, and the same way I'm just going to bring the Rotten Tomatoes over here, and then this one is just going to be the overall, right? Let me change the title and then name it as overall, or maybe let me actually do it this way: overall Rotten Tomatoes ratings. This is just going to be the overall one, and let me even copy this, come here, paste it over there. All right, that's it. Let me run this one, then we're gonna see what we have. Okay, great. Now let me zoom in again so that you see what we have. The numbers are on top of each of the plots, right? The numbers are on top of each of the plots that we have over here. Now you can see movies that are having 100% over here, right? That's the huge number of them, 410 of them, right? And then you can see maybe the next one is this one, which is 162 of the movies having a rating of 60, having a rating of 80, and then you can see 136 of the movies having a rating of 50, right? Followed by maybe this one, which is 126 of them having a rating of 67, and then and so on and so forth, right? So on and so forth. So we can actually see overall ratings. I mean, there are a lot of movies that are having ratings of 500. Okay, there are a lot of them in there. Now let's actually move on, and then we can do it for each of these movies, right? That is for individual movies as well. This one is for overall movies, right? So I'm going to do it for each of the movies, right? So let me actually do it this way. So I'm going to change this one. Instead of each over here, let me actually do this. Instead of each over here, let's do it overall. So this one, we did it for overall, right? Now I'm going to do it for each of the movies, right? We're going to do it for each of the movies. So let me put this each of the movies here, and then what I'm going to do now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a dictionary over here, and inside that dictionary, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pick the streaming service. Okay, the streaming service. Remember, dictionary is just keys and then values, right? So this is the key. The values is just going to be a list of the various services that we have. So we have Prime Video. Okay, we have Prime Video. We have Hulu. Okay, we have Disney we have Disney Plus, and then we have Netflix. All right, so these are going to be the let me push it over here. That is it. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pick the Rotten Tomato. Right, let me do it this way. I'm going to pick the Rotten Tomato score, and this one is also going to be a list of some stuff over here. Now what this one is going to do, I'm going to pick each of the services that we have. So for instance, we created a different data frame for each of the services. If you remember, let me go all the way. This is for Netflix, this is for all services. So remember that we have Netflix DF, right? So for instance, we have Netflix DF here. So I'm going to copy this Netflix DF, then I come down here. When I come down here, I'm going to put that one there, right? Netflix DF. And for Netflix, I'm going to select the Rotten Tomatoes review of that, right? Then I'm going to do .value count, value underscore counts. All right. So if I do this, let me actually show you what is inside this. What is inside this Netflix underscore value count, right? Let me put it here and then run it for you to see what is inside. So this basically what we have over here. Now what I want to select is this part, right? This is what I want to select. So if I do this, if I use the indexing over here and then I put 0 there, you see that I've been able to select the first one, which is 130, right? That's what I want to do. So I'm going to add that one here as well. Okay, and this is just going to be the same thing for all the other services. So I'm going to copy this one and then I'm going to copy it over here. Then when I come here, I put it there, I put it here. We have about 4 of the services: Netflix, Prime Video, Disney, and then Hulu, right? So one more. All right, so let me change these ones as well. So this one is going to be Prime, right? And then this one is going to be Disney plus, no, Disney, right? We named it as Disney. And then we also going to have, these are just the data frame that we created above, right? So we have, if you go out, we have Hulu DF, we have the same Hulu DF, we have Disney DF, right? Then we have Prime DF, we have Netflix DF. So that's what I'm using, so that I'll be able to plot these individual services, right? Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to convert this one to a data frame. So I'm going to do pd.data frame, right? So I'm going to convert everything that I'm doing to a data frame. All right, that's what I'm going to do over here. Then when I do that, I'm going to store it in a variable. Let me just name it as maybe RT for Rotten Tomato, right? So maybe Rotten Tomato underscore score. So that's fine. That should work very fine for us. And then I'll print out Rotten Tomato underscore scores for you to see what is inside. Just let me print the first 5 for you to see. Let me run it. Okay, this one should work. Good. So this is what we have. So we have the streaming services and then the Rotten Tomato scores. Okay, this is what we have. Now we're going to actually plot this one so that you get to see what is inside there. All right. Before I do that, I would like to sort these values, right? So if you see, we have Rotten Tomato score for, say, Prime is 130, for Hulu is 257. So this is the largest, right? 257. So I wanted to sort it from the largest to the smallest, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do, let me copy this one and then bring it down here. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to do .sort underscore values, right? And then I want to sort it and then make sure that I'm doing ascending equals false, right? So that it will sort it from the largest to the smallest. And I'm going to sort it by the I'm going to sort it by this column, which is the Rotten Tomato score, right? I'm going to do it that way. Now if let me actually store this one in a new variable, right? Maybe I'm going to call it sorted out underscore. So I'm going to call it sorted underscore this. All right, and then I can now print this one here for you to see what we have done. Good. So now you can see that it's actually sorted through. The largest is 257, followed by 130, then 19 and 18. Okay. Now we can now make sense out of this one, because we've been able to sort them out. So I'm going to plot it by using the same code that we've been using to do the plotting so far. So let me copy this one and then come down here and put it here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we will need this that we just created. Right, this one is not going to be necessary, so get rid of that. And we can even get rid of these ones as well. Okay, then over here, instead of the df, I'm going to use this. Right, then I'm going to use sorted. Sort underscore rotten tomato score. That's this one that we just created over here. Then what I want to do over here is I want this one to be the streaming services. So instead of rotten tomatoes, it's just going to be this. And this one I will not need the index, the value count, and all those stuff. I will not need it. So what I'm going to use, I will need this. Then I'm going to put it over here instead of the df. I'm going to put it over here, get rid of this, and then maybe add score to this. Okay, so this one is going to be, the X is going to be the streaming service, the Y, the S is going to be the streaming service, the Y is going to be the Rotten Tomato score. Okay, and the title is just going to be maybe Rotten Tomato. Instead of the overall, I'm going to take away this one. And then I'll do it Rotten Tomato ratings for each service. All right, so that's it. And then the test is actually going to be this over here. All right, so that's all. Let me run it and see what I have. Okay, great. Let me even change the color over here, right? So for that, I'm going to add what is called marker underscore color, right? And then I can indicate it, maybe make it something like purple. Okay, let me run it. Good. Now you see that we have at least a different color, which is showing that. Now if you come here, you can see that Hulu is the one which is having the highest Rotten Tomato score, right? The movies on Hulu is the one having the highest Rotten Tomato score, right? Followed by Prime Video, and then Disney and Netflix, right? Surprisingly, Netflix is, the movies over there is the ones having lowest Rotten Tomato ratings. Okay, that is around 18 of them, but you can see that this one goes all the way to 257, right? But it's going to approximate it to 260 as we showed earlier on. So we've been able to figure out the Rotten Tomato ratings for each of the services, right? And this is actually a good insight that we are figuring out over here. We are now being able to make sense out of the data. We have an idea of each of the services, the ratings, the age groups, the which languages, and everything we've been able to fish out over here. Okay, and this is just some of the skills that you're going to need when you have your company data, when you're employed in a company, and you have a data over there to draw insights from. These are some of the analysis that you're going to do, and present it to your boss or whoever is taxing you to do it, right? Now what we're going to do next is we're now going to pick the Imdb ratings as well. Remember that what we were doing was Rotten Tomatoes, right? We have two rating services. That is the Rotten Tomato rating services, and then we have the Imdb rating services. So now we are done with the Rotten Tomato rating service. So we're going to take the Imdb rating services and then do the same thing. Okay, now for that let me actually copy this one that we did for overall. Let me copy that one. We did it for overall Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm going to do the same thing for overall IMDb, right? So if I come here, okay, let me actually see which one that I copied. Okay, so here we're supposed to take out this one because it wasn't necessary. We're not using it, right? So we're supposed to just take it out. Okay, so let's go down here. And the same way, I'm just going to take out this one because it's not necessary over here. And instead of Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to select IMDb, right? So IMD small letter B, right? That's what I'm going to do. Let me even copy it so that I can come here, put it over there, and then come here, put it over here. And this is going to be overall IMDb ratings, right? IMD small letter B ratings. That's what we need to do, right? That's what we need to do. We've been able to change the necessary things. Now let's run it again and see. Okay, great. So this is what we have. This is what we have over here. We can also change the color if we want, change it to anything else that you want. Okay, so this is the overall IMDb ratings. Remember that I told you for them they have a scale of 0 to 10, right? So over here you can see that most of the movies are rated between we can say between 4.5 to 8, right? 4.5 to 8 over here, right? Between 4.5, between say 4.5 over here to somewhere 8. Okay, that's where most of the ratings are being rated. Now we can actually zoom in and then see that we have various numbers on top of each of them, right? Various numbers on top of each of the bars that we have over here. Okay, now let me get rid of this one and then maybe zoom in again for you to see, right? So if we hover over it too, you're gonna see it over there, right? You're gonna see it over there. And if we want to see certain parts, maybe from the 8 all the way to say 4.5, well, maybe let's say 4, right? So we can do that, and then we see that we've been able to chunk out from 4.5 all the way to 8. Okay, so these are the ratings, right? We can chunk it more, right? Maybe if we want those movies that are from say 5.5 to say 7, right? This is it. These are the movies, right, that we have over here. If you click on this one here, it's going to give you the original one that we have. Okay, you can also maybe chunk only those that are having ratings maybe from 7.5 to say 10, right? So these are the ratings that we have over here, right? These are the ratings that we have, those from 7.5 upwards. Okay, these are the ones that we have. This I'm doing it for the overall. You can also do it for each of the services, just like we did for Rotten Tomatoes. We did it for each of them. So we're just copying the same code, right? Just copying the same code and then changing the necessary ones, and then you do it for each of the services. You do it for Hulu, you do it for Prime Video, Disney Plus, and Netflix, right? I'm not going to do that because I've already shown you how to do it above here. Okay, so you can, from here you can just do it as you wish. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to check the count of the run times of the various movies, right? Because some movies run for say 45 minutes, some movies run for 90 minutes, some movies go all the way to 120 minutes and above. Okay, so I'm going to check these kind of movies that we have, right? So let's see how we're going to figure that one out. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do df inside the df. I'm going to select the runtime, right? So go above here, select the runtime, and I'm going to do value count, right? So that I'll get the count of each of them, and I'm going to sort it, right? I can do it in a different line, but I'm just going to put everything on one line, right? Because this one I've shown you above already how to sort this one. So I'm going to say that ascending, right? I'm going to say that ascending equals 4, so that it's going to sort it from the highest to the smallest for me. Then I'm just going to select the first 10, right? I'm going to select the first 10, and I'm going to do items, right? I'm going to select only the items over there,
right? Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to convert this one to a data frame, right? So I'm going to do pd data frame, right? And then inside that, I'm going to do this one over here. I'm going to also convert everything that I'm doing over here to a dictionary. So I'm going to use date over here, right? And go all the way here, close it. Now for the data frame that I'm converting everything to, let me even bring it down here. I just want to indicate the columns, right? That is the column names, right? So that's going to be this one. That's going to be run. If you can do it this one on in a different line, just like we did above, right? I just want to do it all of them at once and then run it, because I've already shown you how to do this, so I'm sure this one shouldn't be a problem for you. So let me store everything in a variable called maybe runtime count, something like that. This is fine. Okay, then I'm going to copy this one and then come down here, put it here, and then run it for you to see what we have. Okay, this is what we have. So we have the runtime, then we have the count, right? So around 971 movies have runtime of 90 minutes. So most of the movies are within 90 minutes, right? And then some are also going above to 95, some 92, 93, some below, some 85, some go all the way to 144. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do this. Let's actually plot this one so that we get to see what is inside there. Let me go and bring the same code that we've been using so far, right, to do the plotting. Let me put it here. Now what I'm going to do is that let me get rid of these ones because they are not necessary to continuously import them. Now what I'm going to use is this. I'm going to use this runtime that we just created. Right, I'm going to bring it, that one here. So instead of this, just get rid of all this. Okay, put this one here, and inside that I'm going to select the runtime, right? We have the runtime and then the count. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. This, then I select, this time I select the count. Okay, and what else should I do? Let's see, let's say the text over here to be this. And then the title, right? The title over here, we can do count of runtime of movies. That's fine. So let me run this one and see what we have. Great. Now you see what we have over here. If I should zoom in again for you to see. Now each of them is having the number there. It's quite small. We can increase it, but I think that's fine because we can even hover on it and then see the values that we have. So as I said, most of the movies are having a runtime of 90 minutes, right? A runtime of 90 minutes, and some also go all the way here up to 180 minutes, right? 180 minutes, and then some are as low as if you go all the way down here, as low as 9 minutes. Okay, as low as 9 minutes. So most of them are around here. That is between 60 minutes and then 120 minutes. Okay, between 60 minutes and then 120 minutes. And as I said, you can just chunk any part of this that you want, right? You can just, maybe if you want to see it from this part, the majority of them, this is it, right? This is it. These are the movies that are having runtime between 60 and then 140. Okay, and then 140. Right? You can click on this one here and then you go home. And you can also maybe check those that are having runtime above, say, 140, right? Above 140. I can also do that. So you see what we have. Can click and go maybe above 120 should do something like this. You see that, and you can also go back and then check those that are having lower ratings, right? That is somewhere these ones, right? Lower runtime. So over here, some movies are as less in minutes as 9 minutes. Okay, So you can just reset it, and then you can just have as many insights that you want to draw from this as well. Okay, so this is the count of the various runtimes of the various movies that we have. On the various platforms. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do here is interesting, which is the directors and the movie count. That is how many movies have these various directors that we have in our data set have directed, right? How many movies they have directed, each of them directed. So that's the next thing that we're going to do over here. So what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to pick, in my data set, I'm going to pick the directors, right? So we have directors in our data set, and I'm going to make sure that whatever I'm picking, I don't have missing values in it, right? So I'm making sure that I'm using this mp.nan over there. So I'm making sure that I don't pick missing values. So I'm going to pick all the director names, and where there's no director name, I skip it, right? So that's basically what I'm going to do over here, right? So I need to actually do this one here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, and that's going to be maybe my new data that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to name it as new data, and I'm going to create this empty dictionary over here. Okay, and let me actually store it in a variable called director count, right? Because I'm going to count how many directors are there, right? So because I'm going to count the directors and also the movies that they have directed. Okay, so that's why I'm creating this empty dictionary. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to convert this new data that we have. I'm going to convert it to a list, right? I'm going to convert it to a list. So if I pick the new data and then I pick the directors from that, right? I'm going to convert it to a list, right? I'm going to convert it to a list. And if I convert it to a list, I'm just going to store it in a new variable called maybe director in data, right? Maybe something like that. So okay, this one should work for us. Now once I do this, I'm going to loop over this thing, right? I'm going to loop over the list that I've created over here, right? This one over here. Let me actually bring it here so that you see what is inside this one. Let me print it for you to see. Okay, so this is the directors. I have a list of the directors over there. Okay, I have the list of the directors over there, and you can see that some movies are directed by more than one director. Okay, I'm also going to split these directors individually so that I'll see their movies that they themselves have produced, right, without collaborating with other directors, right? So I'm going to do that one as well. For instance, there was a movie that these two people directed, but I want to see a movie that each of them directed by themselves. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do over here. So far, this is the list that I have, right? So let me get rid of that, and then get rid of this output as well. Now, I'm going to loop over it, right? So if I loop over it, I'm going to do this X directory. So that's just for any data point in the director list that I have, right? So any data point in this director list that I have, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to split it, right? So if I pick any data point in there or any director name in there, if there are more than two, I'm just going to split them, right? And I'm going to split them based on the comma, right? Because if you remember when we were doing this one, let me comment this one out and then put this one back here, right? And then run for you to see. You can see that if there are more than two, we have comma in between them, right? So first name, then the other person's name will come, then comma is there. That's how it is. So I'm going to split each of the names based on the comma in between them. Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to do. Right, so let me get rid of the output, get rid of this one, and then I'll comment this one out. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And when I split it, I'm going to store this one in a new variable, which is going to be the current the current directories that directors that I have, right? And then I'm going to loop over this one as well, right? So I'm going to loop over this one as well. I can maybe just use these ones are just variable names. You can use maybe I or N or whatever you want, right? I'm using XD, just the director, right? And then for any director name in the new director name that we have. So if let me actually print this one. Before I loop over it again, let me print it out so that you see. Okay, so it's going to pick each of the names like this, right? Without picking maybe more than one director for a single movie, right? I just want to see individual directors and the movies that they have directed. So that's why I'm doing this one. So let me get rid of this one over here, and I'm going to loop over this one, right? So it's going to pick them one at a time. So that's why you see just one name here, but it's going to pick one at a time. Each of the directors in this list is going to pick them one at a time, right? So I'm going to loop over all that. Let me make it the same thing that I did earlier on. So for IX in this, that's the new director list that we did, right? If the XD or the director name that I pick, right, is already in the dictionary, right? I'm now going to, if I pick each of the name, right? If I pick each of the name, I want to add it to the empty dictionary that I have. So I want to check if the name is already in it, then keep counting that, okay, there was one name there, count it. And then the new one that is going to come is going to say that, okay, now I've counted twice of this particular name. So for instance, we have James Aga here. We're going to put this James Aga, right? Let me do this. We're going to put this James Aga in this list, this dictionary that we have. So if we put it in it, it means that we have one James Aga in there. If we loop over the list that we have over here, and then we find another James Aga, and we are coming here to put it again, and then we find out that, okay, there's already one James Aga there, then we're just going to increase this one to make it 2, right? We're going to add 1 to it, to the one that we have, okay, the one that we have, and that is going to make it 2. Okay, if we loop again and then we find another James Aga, we're going to add 1 to it. Okay, and that is going to make it 3. But if there's no James, for instance, if we pick a new name, maybe Shane, right? We pick Shane. I'm just giving any hypothetical name. If we pick Shane is not already in this dictionary, so that's going to be 1, right? Unless it encounters Shane again, then it will come and add count again, and it's okay. I've counted 2 of them, and then it's going to count again. If you encounter again, that's what it's going to do. So this is what I'm going to do here. Let me actually do it so that you get to see it. So for IX in this, right? So if it is there, right? If it is there already, I have to do dot key so that I will get the actual names in that, right? Remember, just dictionary is just made of keys and values, right? So if it is there, then what I want to do is that I want to do it this way. I want to add 1, right? Just like I explained to you. I just want to add 1 to it. That is what is already there, right? I just want to add 1 to it, and so that it will keep on counting, right? So it's just going to be counting. If we get the name, right, and we put the name there, that is one name there. If it encounters it again, it's just going to add 1. It means that we've counted twice of it. If it encounters James Aga again, it's going to add 1. It means that we've encountered 3 of them. If it encounters again, it's going to add 1 to it. It means that we've counted 4 of them. So at the end of the day, we're going to get how many times James Aga came, right? And then we know that, okay, if it came 4 times, it means that James Aga directed 4 movies, right? That's why we encountered it 4 times in our data set. Okay, so I'm going to do that for each of the directors that we have. Okay, so that's why I'm looping through all of them. So that's it over here. However, if the name is not there, so I'm going to use the else over here. Okay, which means that if the name of the director is not there, then what I want you to do is to just add it there, right? Start counting it, right, as 1. That is the XD, the name of the director that we've looped through, and then find, right, just make it 1. Okay, that's the initial one. It means that if it's not there, then it's just going to be the first time that we are adding. So in that case, it's just going to be 1 in the dictionary, right? It's just going to be append 1 over there. Okay, just going to count it as 1 because that's the first time we are counting it. However, if 1 is there already, then it's just going to add 1 to it, right? That's what this part will do. If it's not there, then it's just going to first time put 1 over there, and that's what this part is actually doing. Okay, now that this is done, let me run it and see if everything is fine. Let me get rid of this output and then run this one. Okay, so we have a problem here. This object is not callable. So let me see what we did wrong over here. Okay, so I was supposed to actually do dot get, all right, so that I'll be able to get this data that we've picked, right? So let me run it again and see what else is an issue. Okay, all good. Sometimes if you maybe find an error as maybe float object, blah 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 blah, you just have to convert this thing to a string, right? You just have to maybe come and then change. Let me even give you that code, right? If you sometimes the NaN can give you a problem, and then it will say that you cannot convert float to a string type, some certain weird error, something like that. But if you encounter any error like that, you just can do this. You can just pick the director, right? Just pick the director, and then let me just copy it and then put it over here. Okay, and then you just convert this one to as type, right? As type str, that is string, right? This is what you have to do if you encounter any of such errors where it will be telling you you cannot convert float to a string or something like that. If you get some error like that, it is the code that you need to use over here, right? Is the code that you need to use. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to convert these things into a data frame over here. Okay, so this director count, I'm going to do dot items, right? So let me run this one and then see what is here. Okay, this is what we have, right? So what I'm going to do is that I want to convert this one to a data frame. Okay, then I'm going to indicate the columns the columns in the data frame, and this column is just going to be this. It's going to be one of them to be, say, director, right? And then the account, right? It's just going to be director in the account, and then I'll close it. Let me actually store this one in a variable, right? So I can just name it as maybe, okay, I can just name it as director account. Then when I create this one, let me actually do this one over here. Great. So now you can see that we have these directors and then the account, right? For instance, we have Christopher Nolan 4, and then Lana Wachowski 5, and then we have Lily Wachowski 5, Anthony Russo 5, Joe Russo 6. So this could be maybe brothers that are directing a certain movie, right? For instance, this Wachowski guys and Russo guys, right? So there will be some brothers that are maybe of a family that is directing certain movie. Okay, and what I wanted to do over here is that I want to sort them out. Okay, so that, for instance, if you see over here, this one, Christopher has 4 movies being directed, Lana has 5, Lily has 5, Anthony has 5, Joe has 6, right? So if 6 is the highest in this, it's supposed to be the first over here. Okay, that's what I want to do. So let me go here, and then I'm going to sort it out. So I'm going to do this dot, then I'm going to use the sort underscore values, right? Sort values over here, and inside that I'm going to sort it by, right? I'm going to sort it by the count. Okay, then this one is supposed to be in quote. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also indicate that ascending is equal to 4, so that it's going to sort it from the smallest, from the highest to the smallest. Let's run it again and see. What I have to do is that let me actually do it this way. I need to save this one, right, so that the changes will reflect in the dataset. So let's run it again. Good. Now you can see what we have. We have the director, and then the count over here. That's the name of the columns that we gave. Then you see that we have NaN over here, and this NaN is just the missing values that are in the data set, and it's also counting them, right? So the director column is having a lot of missing values in there, and it's also counting them. But actually what we need is the directors, right? The actual directors in there. Okay, so J Chapman here is the one having a lot of movies that being directed, right? He's the one who has directed a lot of movies. Okay, so we're going to actually drop this column because we don't really need it, right? This NaN is just a chaff. We don't really need it. Okay, so let's go down and then see how we can drop this column. Okay, so I'm going to do these dots. I'm going to use the drop function over here. Now if you see here, right, it's actually at the index 56. That's the row 56. That's where this is. So I'm going to drop it with respect to that, right? So I'm going to put 56 over here, comma, then I indicate that axis equals 0, so that Python will understand where I want to drop. It's actually in the axis and not in the column, right? And that's in our new data set is going to be that without the the ones that we have dropped. So let's run it again, and then we will see it. Great. Now you see that it's starting from J Chapman 36 instead of starting from NaN 726. Okay, so we've been able to successfully drop this NaN there, and we have also sorted them out, so you can see the directors that are having the highest the highest movies to them. Okay, what we can do is that maybe we can select some of them instead of all of them, right? Because we have around 12,453, right? So we can select about 10 of them, right? We can select about 10 of them. So let me go all the way up here, and then here I can put say dot head, right? And then inside I can indicate say 20. Okay, I can do that, and then when I come here, just run it again. Okay, so these are the first 20 directors and their movie count, right? The count of the movies that they have directed. Okay, so now we can actually plot this, right? We can actually plot this. So let's go up and then go and copy the same code that we have used to plot the other ones, right? Let's go all the way up, and then get this code, come all the way down. Then I put it over here. So this time instead of df we will need, this is our new data that we are using. So I'm going to put that one over here, right? And then the x, this one is just going to be this is going to be that, and this is going to be that as well. Okay, and instead of runtime, that is going to be director. Okay, that's going to be director. And this is going to be count, right? Because we have count here, so this one is also going to be count. So that's what we have to do. This one too is going to be count. Okay, and then the title is actually going to be this this title that we have over here. Let me copy it. Okay, and then come all the way down. And then put it there. Okay, so this is basically what we have to do. Now let me run this one and then we will see. Okay, great. Now we can see the count, the directors and then the account. We can even change the color over here as well. So let me actually type it, right? So we can change the color so that we have a different color from what we were seeing earlier on. So marker color is equal to, then I can change it to something like say purple. Okay, let's run it and see. All right, great. Now you can see over here that J Chapman is the one with the highest count, right, followed by Joseph Kane, and then Chen Chan, William Bowden, Jim Wynorski, and Sam Newfield, and David Dicotil, or whatever it is. All right, so these are the directors with the highest count. The highest movies that they've been able to direct. Now you can see how interesting is it that we've been able to use Python to draw these kind of insightful insight from the data that we have, right? In your real world data, your real world work, whether you're employed as a data scientist, data analyst, or machine learning engineer, or whatever it is, these are the things that you're going to do. You're going to draw insights from the data before you maybe apply some machine learning or whatever it is on it, right? So this is the first step, and this is very important. In fact, this is a whole career on itself in the industry, right? Being able to use Python to analyze the data and draw useful insight from it like this, right? So if we want to see the directors that are, having a number of movies out there, we now know them, right? We now know them. And previously we've also extracted a lot of information from the data, right? We know the count of the movies, we know the runtime of the movies. So if a new movie is going to come, we know the range that the movie is supposed to be in, right? And then we also know the overall ratings with regard to IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is quite interesting. And not only that, what I'm going to do next over here, we can actually see which movies that this J. Chapman has actually directed, right? All the movies that this J. Chapman has directed, we can actually see. So I can do this and then say that if I pick the directors column, I just want to pick the name, which is J. Chapman, right? I want to pick this name, J. Chapman. So let me actually do this, so I can do index selection. Okay, so let's actually run this one and then see what is there. Okay, so this is going to give us all the information about J. Chapman. So you can see that the director, if you go all the way up, you can see the director here is just J. Chapman, J. Chapman, J. Chapman. So these are the movies and the other records that is associated with this particular director, right? We can just select some specific columns, right? You can just select some specific columns, maybe the director name. Okay, the director name, and then maybe what else? Maybe the title, right? The title of the movie that he has directed, right? And then we can also pick, say, the genre, right? The genre of the movie that he directed. We can just pick anything that we want. Let's see if this. Let's see the runtime, right? The runtime of his movies, right? The runtime of his movies as well. Okay, so let me run this one. Interesting. So you can see that we have this particular director, J. Chapman. These are the movies that he has directed, and the genre. You see that mostly he actually directs either comedy or documentary, or comedy and documentary together, or only comedy movies. Okay, you can see all of them are comedy, and then the comedy and documentary. And then most of his movies are 60 minutes. Right, on average, you can see that most of his movies are 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes runtime. All right, so you can see how interesting we are able to use Python to do this kind of analysis over here. In the next cells, we're actually going to see, we're just going to explore the genres as well, right? We're just going to explore the genres as well. All right, so let's get started. So for that, I'm just going to do something similar to what we did earlier on. When we're dealing with for each director, right? So I'm going to pick the same code, right, and then bring it down here. Okay, I'm just going to use the same code that we used before this one. Let me put over here. If I go into the DF, I just want to pick the genres, right, and then I just want to count them. So value underscore count. Okay, that's what I want to do, and I want to convert everything to a dictionary. Okay, so this is what I want to do now. When I come here, I'm going to do the necessary. Let me actually save this one in a new variable. Maybe I can name it as genres. Right, or if it's gonna interfere with the inbuilt one, I can just name it as generous underscore. So let's come here and then make the necessary changes, right? So instead of directors count, maybe I can do generous count, right? Generous underscore count over here, and then I'm going to do this one wouldn't be necessary. Okay, this one wouldn't be necessary, so I'm going to go through this one. So this one is a dictionary, right? I've converted everything to a dictionary. So I'm going to loop through that. So the key and then the value, right? So the value is going to be the count over here in this general underscore, right, dot items, right? So that's basically what I'm going to do over here. So when I loop through like that, I want to split them, right? Because if you see over here, some of the genres are, for instance, documentary, comedy. But I want to see, if I pick documentary, I want to see how many movies are in documentary. If I pick comedy, I want to see how many movies are in comedy. So I was splitting them based on the comma in between them. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do over here. So each of the G, which is the key, which is going to be the name of the genre, right? I'm going to split it based on the comma. And what else would I do? Then I'm going to loop through. Instead of this, I'm just going to use I. So each of the names that I've split, that is the G, right? What I'm going to do is that if it's already in this, right, as I explained earlier on, if it's in this one, right, then what I want you to do is that I want you to add one there, right? If it's already there, I want you to add one. If it's not there, then you're just going to put one as the initial value. Okay, so let me change this one as well. That is going to be generous count over here, and this time we're using I, right? This time we're using I. This one is generous count dot I. Okay, and then here is generous count. Inside here should be I. Okay, so this should work fine for us. Let's run it and see. Some error for I in this indentation error. Okay, so let's see what we did wrong over here. Let's push this one back a bit, right? Then let's run it and see. Okay, that's good. Everything works fine. Let me make sure that I'm in the right indentation. Yes, let me run it again. Good. Now let's actually see what is going to be in this dictionary that we are adding things inside, right? Let's see what is going to be inside there. Let me just print out this and see. Good. So you can see each of the genre and the accounts, right? Each of the genre and then the account in there. Each of the genre and the account. Now, I'm going to convert this one to a data frame. So it's just the same thing that we're doing up here, right? Remember earlier on when we finished, we converted everything to a data frame. So let me just copy the same code so that we will not waste any more time typing them. Okay. So I'll come here and then put it over here. Okay, then I'll make the necessary changes. Right, let me go up here and then get this general count. Come here, and instead of director count, I'm going to put general count over here. And instead of director over here, it's going to be general. Okay, then let me actually make this one. Maybe I can just name it as maybe, let me just make it something like count, maybe counts underscore general underscore df is fine. That's just going to be the general df for us. Okay, then I'll copy this one and replace everything that we're doing for the director. We can just replace it over here, and let's see, counted by this, sorted by count, select the first 20. That's fine for us. Let's run this one and see. Good. We have all the we have all the genres and the accounts, right? So you can see drama is having the highest count over here, followed by comedy, then adventure, then action, right? And then thriller, and then family movies, romance, fantasy, crime. You see how it is, right? Followed by miseries, sci-fi, horror, animation, documentary, history, biography, musical, and war and western. So these are the first 20 most directed movies, or most created movies that we have in our data set. Okay, now we're going to actually plot this one as well, just like we did earlier on, right? So let me go up and then get the code and bring it down here, right? So let's go and get the same code that we used. Let me copy it over here. And then I can put it over here. So instead of this, let me get this. Then let's go straight down here. Pull it there, put it over here as well. Then put it over here as well. Then put it over here as well. And instead of director, change it to general. And instead of directors and the account, you can see generous in the account, right? Generous in the account. S is supposed to be there. Okay, so that's in the account of I mean, let's make it in the account, right? Then get rid of this. All right, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Let's run it and see. Great. Now you see how it has been sorted for us. I can change, maybe let's change the color over here and then see, so that it will distinguish it from what we did early on over here. It will distinguish it from this one. So let me do that. Let's go the way here. Now I'm going to change this one to maybe light salmon, something like that. Let's run this one and see. If you don't know the colors to choose, you can just go to your browser, search for HTML colors, and you're gonna get, a lot of colors over there to use. Now you can see how it is. So most of the movies are drama, right? Most of the movies are drama, followed by the comedy, adventure, action, thriller, family, romance, and so on and so forth, right? You can even just chunk the first 5. Let me get it from here. You can maybe get the first 5, right? The first 5 movies over here. Now you can see them over here, right? Drama, comedy, adventure, and then action and thriller, right? If you want to go back, you can just click on this home and then take you back. Okay, that's how interesting you can use Python to generate insights from data. Okay, now the next one that we're going to check is that what are the top movies on each platform. So if we pick, for instance, Netflix, what are the top movies there? If we pick, say, Amazon Prime, what are the top movies there? If we pick Disney or Hulu, what are the top movies over there? Okay, so let's do that one and then see how we can come up with something more insightful. Okay, so we're going to start from Netflix. So if you remember, we created this Netflix _df, right? So we're going to use that one over here, right, as well. So what I want to do is that if I go to Netflix, I want to check the movies, their ratings, right? So if the movie's rating is higher, so let's actually use, I told you that we have 2 different kinds of review or rating services that is there. That is Rotten Tomatoes and also IMDb, right? So we can use either of them, either Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb. Okay, so I'm going to use let's use IMDb, right? Let's use IMDb. So I can use IMDb over here. Let's click on that. So if the rating is greater than a certain number or certain threshold that we're gonna set, right? So in this case, maybe 8.5, right? If it's having IMDb rating of 8.5, greater than 8.5, then we say that it's a top movie. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to use index slicing over here, right? I'm going to use index slicing over here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now if I run this one, okay, these are the movies that are having IMDb rating of greater than 8.5. so if you see the IMDb column, right, all the ratings over here are greater, right? They're all greater than 8.5. All of them will be greater than 8.5, and that's what we want to use. We want to do, right? And that actually becomes a top movie. Okay, so let's just store it in a variable, right? So maybe data underscore Netflix something like that underscore top, right? So I'm going to name it as that, and then when I come here, I want to sort it, right? I just want to select only the title and then the IMDb rating, and then I'm going to sort it, right? So let me copy this one over here, come down here, and inside that I'm going to select the title. Okay, I'm going to select the title, then I also select the IMDb, right? That is their IMDb rating. Then I'm going to sort it, right? So sort underscore values, right? And I'm going to indicate that ascending equals false, right? And I'm going to sort it by the IMDb rating. Okay, and let me actually store this one in the values that we have here, in the variable that we have here, and then print it out for you to see what we have done. Okay, so this is what we have. So we just selected only the title. Remember earlier on we were having everything, right? But in this case we just want the title and also the IMDb rating, right? That's the title of the movie and then their respective IMDb rating. Okay, now that we have this one, right now that we have this, we can now plot it and see these kind of ratings accordingly, right, in a visual representation. So let me just go and then copy this one here. Then I'll come down and then put it over here, right? So the data that we're going to use right now is this. So let me put that over here. Okay, and put it over here. So this one is just going to be, instead of general, it's going to be title. Okay, it's going to be title, and then this is going to be the IMDb rating, IMDb. Then I have to change this one as well. Come here, and maybe I should just copy this one, right? Because I want the ratings to be on top of that, right? And we can change the color over here to something else, maybe something like brown also. Okay, so let's run it now. You can see how it is, right? So this is the movie that is having the highest IMDb rating. Maybe we should change the height over here. Instead of 600, let me change it to 800. Great. Now you can see that this movie, My Next Guest, with David Letterman and Shah Rukh Khan, right? My Next Guest with David Letterman and Shah Rukh Khan is a movie that is having the highest IMDb rating, right? Followed by Nat Samrat, or whatever they call it, right over here, which is 9.1, followed by Inception, which is 8.8 over here. Right, so these are the movies that, the top 20 movies that are having the highest IMDb rating. Okay, so you can just select maybe the top 3, right? So if your business problem is to figure out the top 3 movies, you can just figure them out just like this. Okay, now you see that these are the top 3 movies, right, that are having the highest IMDb rating, right? You can just click on this, return back to whatever you want to go. All right, now the next one that we're going to do is to do it for Amazon Prime. So we did it for Netflix, right? We did it for Netflix. Let's actually change the title over here, right? So we can change the title to Top Movies. Top movies on net, right? Netflix. Okay, let me just run this one again so that we get the title. Good, now we have the title. So we're going to do the same thing for we're going to do the same thing for what do you call it? We're going to do the same thing for Amazon Prime as well, right? So I'm just going to copy the same code over here, And then I'm going to come to Amazon Prime, put it over there. Then instead of this one, remember that we also have what is called Prime. We created Prime, right? Prime underscore DF, so Prime, okay. And then the same thing over here. Then we can sort the values according to whatever we want. Now instead of Netflix, I can just do AMZ, right? AMZ top, right? That should work fine for us. Making the name more shorter and attractive. Okay, now let's run this one. Okay, on so let's see where the error is. Okay, this one, we're supposed to have changed this one to Prime. All right, let's run it. Okay, good. Now I see that we have the title and then the IMDb rating over there. This one is with respect to Amazon Prime. Okay, so let's copy this code and then come and plot the Amazon Prime own as well. So let's go down and then put it over here. And this time I'm going to use AMZ underscore top, which is the Amazon one. Instead of Netflix, we're going to plot up for Amazon. So let me put this one here and put this one here. Okay, and then change this one as well. What else? Change this one as well. Okay, and that's it. We can maybe change the, should we change the color? Yeah, we can leave it, right? Let's leave it. Maybe change it to the same, something like light Gammon or something like that. Let's see. I just want to change it to Amazon color over here, something like this. Okay, so let me copy this one and put it here. Okay, let me run it again. All right, great. What I'm going to do is to change the title over here to Amazon Prime Video. Okay. Okay, great. So you can see the movies and then their ratings. Some of the movies that rank very high on Amazon Prime. So you can see it's Love on a Leash, right? Love on a Leash, and then Bounty. Then these ones, right? These are the ones that actually rate very high on Amazon Prime. Actually, let me come here, and this one I'm just going to select the first 20 of them, right? Because this is plotting all the 7,619 data points over there, which is not what we want to do. Okay, so we have the first 20. Now let me run this one again. Great. Now I see that it's looking better. It's looking better over here. So you can see that Love on a Leash, Bounty, Steven Banks, Home Entertainment Center, and then Square One, Down But Not Out, Where Is Daddy, Finding Family. These are the movies that has the highest rating on IMDb, and you can log into your Amazon Prime and confirm this, right? You can log into your Amazon Prime and confirm this, right? So you can see how interesting we are able to use Python to do this kind of analysis. All right.